So before we started making characters or I even started to form any kind of adventures, I got a couple of the players together to build a world really from scratch. It's one of my philosophies as a game master that I don't want to build the entire world. I want my players to have buy-in and the world to be a shared experience. There's no need for me to make every single NPC and every single creature and every single building. So we got together and we started with just three guidelines that I gave them. First, I wanted to start with a vanilla, traditional fantasy setting, dwarves, elves, that sort of thing. Second, I wanted us to play in a low fantasy world where there's magic, but it's scary, it's rare. If you had a magic item, you probably wouldn't know it was magic. Instead, you might just think it was built a little bit better or suited to you. And finally, I wanted to start with one point on a map. So I invented the city of Kernsland and I put it right in the middle of a blank map.
Let's start with geography. So when we think about our city, Mike, I'm going to start with you. Let's say we're up at the northern gates. We're looking out to the north. What's out there?
In my mind, the north is always the forbidden forest kind of thing. The dense, scary woods.
Okay,
I'm not sure why, but that's what's in my head.
Is there a bit of the forest that might be okay for like woodmen's camps and all that? So if we go out the north, we're traveling a couple miles, and now we've got some hunters and some woodsmen, but it's like, hey, we don't go far beyond where they're working because we don't know what's in there. Is it that's kind of a situation?
Yeah, I like that. It would make sense to put a city right up against a dangerous forest, right? So, yeah, like a sparsely wooded area, and then the deep, dark woods, a little ways off.
Is there a way through the woods up there? Is there like a King's Road that people use that merchants come through?
The Kingswood. I kind of like that.
Okay.
The trade route that goes through.
It's dangerous, but
Dangerous, but
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
I like that.
What's in
Okay.
the north?
This is your forest, Mike. It's the Mike forest.
I like the idea of our city being on kind of the fringe of whatever kingdom exists. It's the kind of thing where tax collectors maybe show up, for the king, but you kind of laugh them off. The crown is so far away, they're not helping us.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. If we call this the King's Road, what king?
Right. A king so distant that we've never seen them. Like we don't know what they
Jen,
look
I
like.
like when you said what king. I like the idea that the king has changed and we were never updated. So we're thinking it's a different king
It could be
still.
a queen now. We have no idea.
Yeah,
what's
like
going on.
I like the idea that the power has shifted hands and nobody told us.
No idea.
Yeah.
I just want a dragon king.
Well, maybe
Mhm.
Right.
nobody knows what the king looks like because maybe the
Right.
king claims to
Maybe
be.
he claims to be a dragon, but it's a big faker.
That's the kind of rumors that we hear, like, oh, what I heard the king is a dragon.
That's fun.
Right. Like maybe he's super reclusive and nobody really knows what he looks like. Maybe a few of his advisors.
So this isn't like a regular trade route that people are on all the time. We are self-sufficient down here, and then every now and again on some big market day, maybe the once a year thing, the government sends down a entourage just to say, hooray, remember there's still a king.
Yeah, like a huge convoy because that's what it takes to
It takes
get
to
through
do
there.
all
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe our city is the center of where we have like separatists and they're just trying to get out from under this monarchy. And
There's
you
probably
know,
there's definitely a group that thinks that they probably not even separatists. They believe that we've already separated.
yeah, so
Yeah.
there's a push to be literally an independent city state.
All right, Jen, how about we come to you next? You want to take the West?
Yeah, I think I am going to take the West. When I think of desolation and deserts and things like that, I think more Western than I do Southern. So
How far off is it
Um,
before it gets
it's
bad?
a pretty good ways. I think probably in the near West, it's going to be more like a tundra type field. It's just kind of not a lot grows there. I think maybe as far as you can see, it's fine. But once you get to that horizon, then beyond that is you know,
That's where we
here
warn the
here
kids
we
not to
be
go.
dragons.
Okay. Now, is there some sort of civilization out there that maybe weird merchants come down a road from there, or is it like, look, you don't go out there. People that go that way don't come back.
I think more of that. I don't
Okay.
I don't think particularly hospitable even to like, you know, the merchants or any like
Well, I mean, maybe that's where the weird stuff is, right? We got like
That's
tundra and
true.
there's like big deep crevices in the rocks and there's weird
Yeah.
creatures like in between
I
it.
like
And,
that.
like you know,
That's
it's
true.
really hard to traverse, and those people or
Yeah.
things that live out there are just like super hardy and like I got this
Yeah.
like bug
Yeah.
creature like
Yeah,
image in my head.
nice.
Like
Okay. No, I
I
like
like
that.
it.
I
True.
can work with that.
I do like that. I'm a big caver, so the
oh,
idea of a lot of
I
it
didn't know this
being
about you.
under under I know it's very strange.
Just like what?
We're all becoming better friends. Yeah.
We are already.
I have questions.
I was wondering, you said as far as you can see, it's fine, and then it gets to be desolate and bad. So in the close distance to the city, is that like farmland? Is that fields, meadows?
And
I
it
think
gets
people
worse
have
and worse.
tried. I think
Okay.
maybe that is where if you're someone who has been ostracized or outcast or don't really know what else to do with yourself, maybe you have a go at that farmland and it's next to impossible.
Is it like a stark, like something weird happened? It's like, here's the grass and here's the desert. And it's like
Oh, that's fun.
something happened that something happened over there.
Maybe this is the reason why people don't trust in magic. Maybe there was some like cataclysmic event and this scorched the earth
Ooh, I like that.
literally and burnt out the natural piece, and nothing's been able to grow there since. And you know, it's become an old wives' tale from like hundreds of years, like generations and generations, and nobody really knows why anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the true facts of the story. It's more legend that, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's bad stuff happens over there. Okay.
Yeah, and whatever that cataclysm was, whatever I really like the idea of like some kind of a magical apocalyptic kind of thing, you know, in the
Yeah.
distant past. And so we've got all these weird creatures and you know, mutations, you know, like that kind of thing.
And like
Okay,
fringe
yeah,
groups
yeah.
who were like, it's fine, and everyone's like, nah, man, like
No, it's
Yeah.
really not.
Yeah.
Now, it's not like
Yeah.
monsters are coming and attacking the city every day. This is not that sort of
No.
a situation. Okay.
It's more of an eerie quiet that
Okay.
don't want to go beyond because, like you said, nobody generally comes back from there that you know of.
There should be a reason why people would want to go out there, you know, and we I think we have an opportunity for, you know, a taken advantage lower class if there's, you know, some kind of resource.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think anything from the old world would be considered valuable just because it's so scarce.
Okay.
Right, searching the rubble for any potential artifacts or even relics of time gone
And maybe
by.
that's where it's like an archaeological thing. They're looking for whatever answers they are to the cataclysm, to the old world, and being able to, you know, being the person that's able to prove what happened or prove providence of their family or you know, the origin of magic. I mean, maybe that's the higher value than, you know, necessarily what they're physically finding out there.
Now, do like adventuring parties coming from far and wide to go out there and kind of like, you know, you go to the general store and you pick up stuff and you go out and do this, or is this more like maybe government groups or guild groups or nefarious groups? Do they also sponsor people to go out there and take advantage? And like, I mean, is it truly a wild, wild
Absolutely, I
west?
would think
That's
so.
the more
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the
No
interesting
government reach
choice.
out there. It's
You've got a
anything
rich guy
goes.
that's convinced that his family was powerful and from the West. You know, he's not going to
Right.
even get his hands dirty.
Okay.
He's going to send
Mhm.
his underlings to go and try and find proof that, you know,
terrible.
his family was very powerful and he should be on the council or be king or, you know, any other manner of.
These people want a better life than they have, and they're gonna do whatever they can to get it. So I think it's anybody who wants more. I think definitely the people with less to lose are going to be more likely to go. The outcasts, the ones who are poor. But I think anybody who wants more out of their life is willing to risk.
Why is our city where it is? Like, how is it established? Who established it? Why here?
you know, you have to be close to a waterway, right? That's where people settle.
Right.
Is where there's water, where there's food.
I also like the idea of the city sort of starting because it was somewhere someone stopped, right?
Right.
They
Tell me
said,
about that.
well, I don't want to be over there in the middle of that thick wood, but I also don't want to set up in that barren wasteland or in that, And so I think over time, one person said, "Oh, this is a good spot." And somebody else said, "Oh, hey, do you mind a neighbor?" And it just sort of grew and became this collective of individuals who maybe weren't sure where they were going, and then they stumbled into this little settlement, and it grew, and then it became an establishment. And
Yeah.
then uh they have to actually sort of become a city state.
So less intentional and more. This is just sort of how it
Yeah.
happened. Now, was it around
Yeah.
when we talk about this lore of this great cataclysm that happened off to the west? Was our city here, like the bones, the ancient bones of our city? Was it here when that happened? Were we a part of that, or were we established afterwards?
Maybe that was where the lore of these random people, this is where they stopped and set up a city. Maybe we don't know where they came
Okay.
from. Okay, we know nothing is in the West, it's barren or whatever, but there are people that either we claim or highly suspect within the city that are descended from people that originally came from there. Like, we don't know, like, it's a rumor, but I like the idea of, did they come from there?
Right.
Did they not?
So I think the city itself will probably be made up mostly of humans, halflings. Like I said, I like the idea of even player characters that are, an ogre wandering around the city. Um, the ancestral home of like dwarves and gnomes, which direction is that? Are there some mountains we see off in the distance?
I was going to ask about mountains.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the southeast is more of like a river that goes to the ocean, and the other side, sort of the southwest, having mountains, sort of like a mountain range or something like that.
Now is that the ancestral home of like dwarves and gnomes and undergroundish folks, and some of them
I
are
would
pushed
say
out?
so.
Maybe we have ocean dwarves. I don't know. I'm trying to
I'm good with ocean.
invert-
Ocean dwarves are fun.
I like ocean dwarfs.
I don't know how they'd
Sea
swim.
dwarves. They
So
just walk on the bottom.
so what about like tropical islands where the archipelagos of volcanic rock that
Ooh.
have risen up from the sea, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
given us like almost a mountain range in the ocean, like just off the coast.
Okay. And
It's
and then maybe our ocean sea dwarves are more like seafarers. And so
right.
they
I like that.
yeah, they can
Pirate
use
dwarves.
those
Nomadic
volcanoes. Yeah,
people
pirate.
almost.
Yeah, pirate. Yeah, we like to think of traditional dwarves as really established in one hard location, but maybe these ones can't be because all their ancestral homes are gone, and they don't want to take the time to create new ones because it just hurts their heart too much. So they've taken
I
to the
mean,
sea.
if the sea uh it comes up to the mountains, it can be cliffs, and they can have these under
Yeah,
caves that maybe is a base of operations for some, but in order to maintain life there, they need to be on the water and going to, procure goods and
yeah,
Basically, their ancestral homes got flooded out, so they had to move to the tops of the cliffs in the mountains
I
and
like
yeah.
that.
adapt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
like
this
that.
this cataclysm, maybe these ancestral homes of the dwarves, were a normal mountain range at one time, but then this big cataclysm,
Right.
altered the landscape. All the land around it has been flooded, and all that, and so now we have these island dwelling dwarves.
Separated back into like their clans. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoy that.
I like that. Okay. Well, so and then just to keep it simple, we'll say that kind of dwarves and gnomes, they're doing the best that they can to cobble together a life. While they may have been able to be separated in the past, they were all forced out. Where are our elves living? In a far off place that we just don't even know?
I think so.
Okay.
I would think so.
Maybe all the elves were the reason that magic has messed up the world, and they came from the West
Ooh.
and are all displaced.
How
true.
how highly argued amongst scholars and people is the reason for the cataclysm? Is it truly no one knows and everyone just like argues it all the time, or is it just more like no one really cares? It is what it is, and it's just the way things are.
I feel like it's a reason for prejudice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's hotly contested. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah,
one of
the
those
more
things that is
interesting
like-
choice is that no one knows. You know what I mean? That's
No
the
one knows,
interesting
and
choice.
they're blaming each other
And-
for things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
Yes.
the different
I think
schools
it can
of
be
thought,
both.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've
I
got
think,
are
like
we
I think
talking?
it's
Are we
used as
talking?
a justification to be unkind to others, whoever
Okay.
is not in your in group.
Talk to me about our government. Are we run by scholars? Are we run by merchants? How are we living?
I like the idea of a council,
Okay.
especially if we're a human halfling sort of safe place.
Like a city
Or
state. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that
the
too.
idea of a council where both of those races are equally represented.
Are these people like elected politicians, or are they more like merchants, or are you set up because of who you are birthwise, or by, each head member of the guild makes up this council?
I think there's room for sort of an election based system, but maybe there's also a way to
Mm,
pay your way in and
a little
be
bit
a
of
little bit
nepotism.
shady. Yeah, a little bit of
I like
nepotism.
that. I think a council would make sense kind of with the way we're going, with the way the whole thing started. When you're refugees, it's not like you have, well, this person is clearly descended from the monarchy and they have the
right.
rightful. So I think they probably set up that council and then it kind of got maybe corrupted is too strong of a word, but as it, over the years kind
Yeah,
of went
and
on.
I think not everybody on the council has gotten there through dishonesty by any
No,
means,
not at all.
but it does leave the opportunity for some bad eggs or
Right.
So like leadership of the council passes, you're like sort of speaker for a year or whatever, and it passes around to maybe these couple of families that we have. And I get, so taxes, I imagine people get taxed, and the tax goes to some sort of city guard that just sort of keeps the peace. I mean, somebody's got to go yell at little Johnny when he throws a rock through somebody's window. There's got to be some sort of governance. Talk to me about how we keep order. It sounds like outside the city, things are a little crazy. Inside the city, maybe the area around the city that we control, down to that port, over to the farmsteads. How are we keeping ordered? Is there a military? Is there a city guard? Is there an out of
I
city guard? Talk to me about what that looks like.
I think the city's largely a safe place, um, and I think that it falls on the other inhabitants of the city to sort of keep everybody honest and keep everybody sort of doing their best.
I mean, is there a concern that like an army of orcs is going to come get us? Do we have a standing military that prepares for those sort of things, or are we more of a like, well, if that ever happens, we all got to go grab our swords and do our part?
Yeah, I think it's everybody pick up your crossbow and run
Yeah.
for the
Okay.
edge of the city.
It's one of those things where everybody pitches in.
Okay. So there is some professional city guard, but they're more of a bureaucratic kind of system that keeps things ready and maybe does some like drills every now and then to make sure that keeps the walls from falling down, and when the bandits show up, maybe they go take care of that. But it's definitely more about the people than about the centralized military. We've kind of talked about different sections of the city. Over on that barren side, that's where it gets poorer. That would be, yeah, the closer you get, and maybe even spilling out beyond the walls. That's where you go if you have nowhere else to go, and it's ramshackle huts and all that. So even when a major party of amazing adventurers is going to set out to go do something incredible out in the barren wastes, they have to parade through the absolute squalor.
I think that might be where like the extremely like smarmy opportunistic traders set up, like the ones that are definitely ripping you off, but they are setting up like by that last exit out of the city so they can get one more like, oh, I've got this thing that'll
Oh,
guarantee
got
that
their
you'll,
stall.
find what you're looking for.
It's the salesman from Aladdin.
yeah.
I like the idea of the center of the city being the hub. It has the historic first camp
Oh, I
spot
like that.
where they've actually like marked it with a marker to say like this is where we started. The council chambers are just across the street, and you've got maybe a few shops here and there as well that sell everyday supplies.
So this is just like a city square area, but
Yeah, sure.
everybody's welcome there. This is not one where it's like, sorry, you can't come in here. This is a public square
Right,
with
right. It's
shops and
very much the sort of open to all
Center of arts and
environment
culture.
of our city state.
the road that comes from the north.
I mean, the road comes right up to the front of the inn, basically.
We've got the abject squalor off to the west,
Right.
but at the eastern edge of the city, that's where this is the mansions. That's the nice place. The south, where the ports are, it's merchant guilds and storehouses, and you know what I mean.
I think there needs to be some sort of, it's certainly not going to be as nice as it would be in the city, but like a museum/library. Like if a scholar is going to study the artifacts or anything to do with the cataclysm or do any sort of research, like this is kind of the hub they're going to come to.
Can it be kind of closed off too? Like this is where if your kid starts showing magical powers, like this is where you drop them off and they're
Right.
taken back in there
Right.
and
And
so
Yeah,
that we
that's
don't really know
fun.
what goes on in there. You got to have a
Right.
card to get in there, but we know there's weird lights over there sometimes.
Well, I think the ground level is going to be like the public library with the public artifacts that everybody knows about. It's not exactly a university, but our version of it.
Oh, I like there
know,
being a
of that.
university.
It could be.
Yeah, I think there can probably be like a public university as well.
Yeah, like where do people go to read?
Well,
Like you gotta, there's
Okay.
probably like half the city doesn't know how to read.
probably more
Like,
than
so,
half. I don't know.
where do you scrape to send your kid out to learn their letters? you know?
Okay. We can go full on university. Like if you're you need to do some research
Yeah.
first. Come here. Oh, but only in the front rooms. We're not going to let you in the back rooms or on up in the tower or in the basement or wherever little Timmy is learning magic right now. Little Timmy's going through
Timmy.
it, so he's got to stay in the basement.
Okay, hear me out. We got like every city needs a rogues guild, especially if there's merchants involved. And we've got cliffs to the south where maybe we have like smuggling gnomes and dwarves coming. They're the only way that know how to get through the crags and the rocks and bring things in from the ocean and other far lands. So there's got to be some sort of illicit trade that are in, willing to do things that, are outside the scope of the law. But my immediate thought was like rooftop rogues, like ninjas that live in the actual rooftops of the
Yes.
city. Very wild idea. But,
So yeah, I
um,
mean,
I-
normally you think of like a rogues guild being underground. They're
under the
literally
basements of the world.
yeah, they're literally like above it. So they've found ways to be above the city, to look down on it, to control, to air traffic control all the movements. No, yeah, I kind of like that. Let's talk about religion in our city and in our world a little bit. And let me mention, when we talked about low fantasy as well, I think even divine magic, people are very skeptical of it. You're not just going and saying, "Hey, can you resurrect my friend?" or can can I get some magical healing? If somebody can do that, that is super duper special. And it would even be skeptical, like there's some sort of trick here, and people try and take advantage of that. But
Right.
religion is still a big thing.
So immediately I think of the ones that revere whatever this old civilization was. People think of them like the Scientologists of this place, but maybe they're the only ones that have it right.
Do they have like a writing? I mean, do they have?
Ooh, that's fun.
Is
Yeah.
it it all sort of speculative, or is it based on a person who's like, no, I was there, I know it, or is it all just sort of like we don't know what it is, but we're waiting for a sign from whatever? Like,
Maybe
tell me a
they're
little bit
coming
more
from
about their
all of
worship.
the bits and pieces that they can
Okay.
get from whatever this old civilization was. It's all conjecture and whatever they can glean from all these little scraps of information, and every new piece is the biggest thing in the world.
I would imagine that they would also be wrong because they've interpreted something incorrectly as
Yeah,
well. Like
maybe.
I don't
that maybe
know.
their whole system isn't wrong,
Well-
but the way that they understand what they have is wrong.
So what
Yeah,
if
I
that's
like that.
like the whole thing is varied? Like you have the adherents in the squalor that really have no idea what they're basing their faith on, other than, well, I can see the giant, desolate wasteland. Like
Right.
this exists. I know it exists. I can see it.
I kind of like that it's an unknown thing, and maybe it's more of
Right.
like, keep me safe from the cataclysm. The poor people that are going out there, they don't know who they're praying to. They don't understand the whole
Right.
thing, but they always ask a blessing, like to
Yeah.
the void, like, keep me
Right.
safe as I travel
Yeah, that's
today.
Right.
fun.
Right.
The
Because
the,
I
the nameless
know,
god kind of
that
thing.
I can,
Great
yeah, I like
unknown.
that, the nameless
Right.
God that we know caused this cataclysm. So I have to
Right.
stay in the good graces of the nameless God, or else
Yeah, or
I
else it'll
could,
happen again.
Right.
when somebody drops dead, they must have done something the nameless God had to take them.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
Right.
it's an excuse. It's an excuse for
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
I like
and
that.
those are the most
Right.
fanatical
Yeah.
believers.
Right.
Like on
The
the
ones
streets,
with
like calling
nothing to
out,
base it on.
like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, the
coming
end is
Right.
here.
again. Repent, repent. Yeah, I like
Right.
that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's I think that's a religion in and of itself, with maybe some little, yes, with some splits and some factions. What other religions we got going on in town?
You know how there's a lot of systems that have like things in like domains, and it's just like love and fun, and this is the god of like merchants, and this is the god of like, do we want to keep it more like a tangible thing? Like his, because
Maybe our standard, like human default religion for this city is things like that, where rather than even having names of the people, it's, I'm praying to the beauty today. Oh, I'm praying to the worker today because I have to go to work. I'm praying to the sailor today.
I would like for that to be the harmony.
That's like what it's called. That's the religion.
That's what that whole religion is called, and it is this sort of, I guess, mini pantheon that watch over and keep balance.
So, create civilization. Like they are needed for
Right.
civilized life. Like I would imagine this is the one where there's regular worship,
Oh,
where you
yeah.
actually go and there's like priests that like, bless you and that sort of thing.
This is, the practical person who is, we all came together and we built this city on,
rock and
Yeah.
roll.
Rock and roll.
practical, well, like
This is the one where you don't know why
Yeah.
you're worshiping, but like my family has always been a member of the Harmony. So
Right.
yes, that's where we're getting married and like, oh, it's
Right.
it's
Right.
Harmony Day. We better go.
right, it's the
worship.
common man, the practical kind of on the ground religion. It's not the lofty ideas kind of
That's fun.
religion.
There was a religion with a prophecy that predicted the cataclysm.
But it's like a really ancient religion. And maybe even the dwarves are like, you guys don't know what you're talking about with your whole Harmony thing.
Yeah.
Like this is more ancient than that.
Right.
Um,
And the dwarf, I like the idea of the dwarves being like, you didn't listen.
Yeah.
You didn't listen, and like being kind of bitter about that. Like they lost their home because nobody listened
Yeah,
to
that's
their
something to,
prophecy.
These are fickle gods, right? So they require like something like tokens or worship or sacrifice or something in order to be appeased so that
It's
the
not
mountain won't
passive
explode.
like the default
Um,
religion where you can just sort of say thanks.
No,
for the
no,
win."
you can't just like think about it and pray to your little like, and have a nice little feeling in your heart. No, they actually require some sort of full service, and that's maybe why these fringe communities of all these like tribals are seen as
Okay.
savage.
Kind of like the idea for, you mentioned the druids, nature, the
Yeah.
elves, that kind of thing. I think it's in total crisis right now because I think the cataclysm corrupted so much of nature, and maybe that's why we don't see a ton of elves, because they are
Okay.
busy trying to fight back, whatever this corruption is, whatever this has done to the natural order. I think to the point that maybe even corrupts some of the druids themselves. Like if you try to, you have to be a pretty powerful druid to hold back this corruption or try and correct this corrupt.
Oh, it's corrupted nature
Yeah.
itself.
And it's
Right.
so for them, it's
I
less
like
about
that.
I'm worshiping a god. It's more just about like being in balance and being yourself within nature, as opposed to like I worship this tree, I worship this deity.
Yeah,
I
but like
think so, and
not
Ones do, it's
succumbing
more
to
just like-
the impurity
Right.
that can like you tap into this power and you have all these druidic and animal powers, but if you push it too far, it can consume
Right.
you.
I think whatever it was at one time has taken a back seat to just trying to keep this corruption at bay.
Yeah, the magic and the deity is the land itself, and the land is
Right.
broken.
Okay.
Right.
The balance of it is broken and has created this split in the persona of Gaia, or whatever,
Right.
like that kind of thing. Like, to use terms that are easy to parse. Gaia has been broken into, the light and the dark,
Right.
the healthy and the corrupted.
And I think right now the corrupted is solidly winning.
One final note I want to make. After this session was done, I continued the conversation with Jessa because she wanted to make a race that was unique to our world, and we call them the Wastelanders. We don't know what their original ancient name is. That's just what everybody calls them now, because these are people who have established a city just inside the borders of that wasteland south of Kernsland. The Wastelanders look quite a bit different from your standard humanoids, your dwarves and your elves, your humans. They have pinkish, bluish, sometimes purplish skin. They have sharp elvish, sometimes reptilian features. Some grow horns, some grow claws, some have tails. And because of where their city's located, because of some of the elements of their culture, the way they look, some people believe that they are responsible for the cataclysm, even though there's no hard evidence of that. And they get discriminated against. So now you know a little bit more about our world. You know a little bit more about the lore and the people that inhabit it. And as you watch our episodes, you'll find that we're going to continue to add to that world every step of the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our adventures.